Hello guys, this is going to be a three-way comparison video of consumer headphones that I feel are pretty much worthy of their price as well as being recommended. This is going to be strictly a sound quality review as opposed to the other reviews that cover more different aspects such as the comfort levels, what you get in the box, all these other things. But since I am purely an audiophile myself, this is going to be strictly straight to the point, the reason why you buy higher quality headphones, which is for the sound. Alright, so the headphones on the far left are the Logitech UE 6000, and those headphones are amongst the first iterations of headphones that Logitech has offered from their lineup. They've actually not even Logitech, it's UE actually. Logitech owns UE. UE stands for Ultimate Ears. So the 6000s are the first headphones, amongst the first that Logitech UE or Ultimate Ears has released, because they're mostly known for in-ear monitors or IEMs. The headphone in the middle is the V-Moda Crossfade LP1s, and that is the first headphone that V-Moda has ever released to the public. They were also known for just making IEMs. And the headphone to the far right is the V-Moda Crossfade M-100s, which is the current top-of-the-line model that V-Moda offers in terms of their headphone series. So to immediately dive into the sound quality aspects, from the most bass to the least amount of bass, I'm going to have to go and say the most bass goes to the LP1s, middle range in terms of the amount of bass goes to the UE 6000s, and then the least amount of bass, which is not necessarily a bad thing, goes to the M100s. Now, to dive into the qualities of each headphone, I'm going to start off with the UE 6000s. If you've been following my channel, you know that I have a review on these headphones, so you can get a more in-depth thorough explanation on the qualities of these headphones, such as other aspects that won't be covered in this review. But to summarize the sound quality of the UE 6000s, I can say it's a fairly nice and smooth, balanced sounding headphone with a fairly nice and open wide soundstage. The thing is with the UE 6000s, to me, when the amplifier, since this headphone actually has two sound signatures, one where, let's bring the headphone closer. When the active noise cancellation, there's no batteries installed, so you won't see the green LED notifying you that it's on. But when the amplifier is activated, this headphone throws on a more consumer-oriented sound where the bass and the treble is more elevated as opposed to the mid-range. This can give you a more lively and sense of wow to the sound, but in terms of accuracy and resolution, in terms of its transparency to the original source, it is a bit off, but it does sound very nice with bass-driven music like electronica, house, trance, drum and bass, a lot of those EDM music like hip-hop and rap and all that. It's going to sound amazing when the amplifier is turned on. But a more acoustical music that's driven by instruments and more natural sounding properties, you're going to find the sound a bit off. When the amplifier is turned off, good thing is, in case your batteries die, you can still utilize this headphone without the noise canceling circuitry and amplification, but the sound signature changes to a more balanced sounding headphone. But to me, I felt that the treble wasn't as pronounced as I'd like it to be when the amplifier is turned off. But in terms of its overall sound frequency spectrum, it's a lot more balanced and a lot more audiophile friendly. In terms of its detail retrieval, it's very good for a headphone of this price. It's better than anything the Beats by Dr. Dre line has to offer, and it's a very good sounding headphone. Like, I really can't fault it. The bass is beautifully deep, it's very authoritative, and like I said before, you really can't fault this. Is a great sounding pair of headphones. Alright, now next up in line is the V-Moda Crossfade LPs, which is, I said before, is the first headphone that V-Moda has made. It came out with an MSRP of about $250, and now you can find it on Amazon for approximately about $120. And if I didn't say that, the UE 6000s came out at around $200, and you can also find them around Amazon for about $160. So let's bring these closer. Now, just to get this out of the way, yes, this is my anti-Beats design. which I still can't, you know, get over how in your face slappage this is to Beats owners. But let's get back to the actual review. These headphones have a very strong bass emphasis. Very strong bass emphasis. It's not necessarily bloated in the sense that the drivers can't control the bass. It's just that the amount of it really gets in the way of the other spectrums, such as the mid-range and the treble, and it does sort of hide the very subtle details that those frequencies have to offer. As a result, the sound is muddy in a sense. Coming from these other two headphones, this will sound muddy, but to some consumers I can see how they would like that much bass, because, you know, bass is a very how can I say, it's a very tempting and a very, you know, must-have frequency for a lot of consumers. It's the frequency that a lot of consumers, you know, tend to pick up on and tend to focus on. So in terms of detail and overall sound quality, when you EQ these, like this is, for me, I have to EQ these because the bass is just too much. When you equalize these and bring out the mid-range and treble a bit more, they do sound more clear, and you can also hear the technical capabilities that the speakers have to offer when the bass isn't the only, you know, forefront presentation in the mix. And I really find these a lot better once you EQ them and bring out the treble and mids, but in its stock form I only find them, you know, okay. And I can see how some consumers will actually like this, but to me, I don't really like the sound signature when these are stock. It's just, you know, too much bass, and the sound stage somewhat feels constrained and crushed in. It's just not enough detail and not enough clarity. Last but not least, which pretty much happens to be my favorite headphones of all three, is the V-Moda M-100s. Now, I've been doing a lot of research on this headphone, especially reading about the different reviews, the different, you know, editor choice awards that I've seen, and especially Headfi, which is a website that I myself find a bit iffy because there's a lot of, you know, misconceptions and misleading going on there. But those guys who are just like the king of analytical and picky people find these headphones to be great. If you look at the threads that these headphones have, there's like a lot of positive feedback in those threads. So you know what? I figured, like, let me try these headphones out, and these actually sound amazing for the price. Pretty much the same exact design as the LPs. These use a 50mm dual diaphragm speaker, which is the same thing as the LPs, but this is supposedly a re-engineered speaker with different characteristics and different performance levels, and I can clearly hear that. Because even when those are EQ, the LPs, these have a much more articulate and very defined sense of sound that you can easily pinpoint where every sound is coming from. The clarity in the mids, the bass and treble are absolutely exceptional for the price. Let's start with the bass. The bass, like I said before, is the least out of all three headphones, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It allows you to hear the mid-range and the treble a lot more clearer and doesn't overwhelm and get inside, you know, and get in front of the other mix. The bass is incredibly tight, very good and very nicely controlled. It extends very well, and it does give you that nice chest thumping feel when the music calls for it. The texture is also very good, and you can easily discern between the sub bass notes and the more upper mid bass notes when they're simultaneously being presented in the mix. Also, the mid-range is a bit, how can I say, if I'm being picky, it's a bit sucked out in terms of its presentation and volume levels, not necessarily the quality. So you can easily EQ that if you're that picky. But the mid-range detail is also very nice and very good. You can easily discern the difference between a female and a male in the mix of the qualities, and the complexity levels increase in the presentation. Everything sounds very natural. The sense of ambience, the sense of air in these headphones, especially being a closed back, is also very good. The sound stage is absolutely amazing. The sound sounds more as if it's coming from around you as opposed to coming from inside of the of your head, basically. And last but not least, to go to the treble area, it's very nice and extended. There was one thing about the UE 6000 that I didn't like as well. Even in the active mode, the amplification engaged, the treble wasn't as enough as I'd like. With the V-Moda M100s, the treble is a lot more present, and it's not like it's a harsh sounding strident treble that sort of hisses at you. It's a more of a smooth and crisp treble that I can't get enough of. It's very nice and it's very nicely presented. It brings out the sense of air and ambience and that last bit of harmonic detail in the music. So if I was to recommend a headphone, this will be my top recommendations, the M100s, and then it'll go to the UE 6000s and then the LPs. But if you're a user, who wants a lot of bass, just pure bass, it doesn't really matter if it gets in the way of other music, the LPs are your headphones. If you want a more all-arounder type headphone that doesn't really break the bank, because the 6000s are roughly affordable in the $160 range, you can go for the 6000 because they're more of an all-arounder headphone. But if you want the top headphone that I believe for a portable headphone, these have to be amongst the top. Underneath $500, look no more. The M100s are absolutely amazing. The sound quality is breathtaking for the price. You really can't go wrong with these. So if I didn't cover any aspects or any points in this video review comparison, please feel free to post them below in the comments. I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Later.